You're not in control. A talk with Unmani.
The need to control and the effort that it takes to maintain a sense of control. And I feel like we all know this in some way or another. And maybe you can recognize in your own experience where you are trying to control, or what you are trying to control, how you're trying to control, what that means for you. And it may be a particular thought story about that, or maybe a feeling in the body, maybe both. Maybe a tendency, a pattern that happens when you're in certain situations or with certain people. Maybe it's more fundamental, sort of controlling who you are. And this is often what really can hold us back from living fully and freely as the aliveness that we are, as life itself. We tend to be, first of all, believing that I am this small me, limited and located here. And then in our lives, we are living life from this apparent small me. And the way we do that is that we try to control our circumstances, our expression, how we show ourselves, how we express ourselves in the world or to others, how we are perceived by others, what other people think of us, how other people respond to us. We try to control that. We try to control the future. We try to control our feelings, our sensations, our thoughts. And even on the spiritual path, we are trying to control how spiritual we are. Right? Perhaps we recognize that one most of all. That we are trying to control how aware we are, or how good, nice, loving, kind we are, according to some spiritual idea about how we're supposed to be a good person. Or perhaps we're trying to control our thoughts and pushing away negative thoughts and only allowing more spiritual or positive thoughts, pushing away so-called negative feelings or uncomfortable feelings, and welcoming only those more spiritual states that we think fit our concept or our identity of being a more spiritual person. So all of this takes a lot of effort to maintain. We have to keep adjusting ourselves. We have to keep monitoring and managing every little movement, whether it's a physical movement or whether it's a feeling movement or a thought movement. We have to constantly be adjusting ourselves depending on other people or our environment. If someone near us or in response to us gives us a smile, then we adjust ourselves to do more of what they apparently seem to like or approve of. But if someone gives a frown or says some negative word or moves away from us, then we adjust ourselves to what we think they might actually prefer. And all of this, again, is so much effort. It is exhausting. And fundamentally, it comes because we are looking to know who am I by the way I live in the world, whether it is our circumstances, whether it is how we feel or other people, or how spiritual we are or we think we are. It is all based on who we try to be or who we think we are in the world, as a person in the world, as an identity in the world. But if we question, who am I really, or who do I think I am? Then if we're really honest with ourselves and we don't buy into these thoughts that try to hold on to a certain kind of identity, then we're left with actually not knowing who we are. And in not knowing who you are, then we don't have an identity to be in the world. So then there's no one that you need to adjust here in order to suit the world. Then it's just about meeting whatever is here in your direct experience. Meeting the vulnerability that you might feel, the feeling of not knowing how to be, not understanding the world, not understanding how to relate with other people, not knowing how to be spiritual, not even knowing what spirituality is, and yet meeting what is here, presently. To me, this is true spirituality. Really meeting your experience without knowing what it means, without trying to control it, without trying to adjust to anything, to anyone. And I'm not saying that it's just about waving a magic wand and suddenly you can drop all these patterns that try to control. But it is about meeting those patterns of controlling for what they are as well. They are thoughts, beliefs, old patterns, old energetic shapes that this body-mind takes just out of old habit. It doesn't know anything else. And as we start to get to know these patterns, these habits, these shapes, we get to know them for what they are. In other words, we are not identifying with them. We're seeing them for what they are. They are limiting ways of behaving in the world, very human ways of surviving, just repeating what we've always known, what we've always learnt, in the hope that that will help us survive and thrive in our lives as humans. But as we see them for what they are, there is also naturally some distance. We are then identifying with this back here, this awareness of these patterns, awareness of the human. So when then there is a pattern that tries to control, trying to hold on, trying to make that effort to be a certain someone, we can see it for what it is. And we can see that actually there is no one here. Who am I trying to be? And maybe then we have to feel what is underneath that pattern. Maybe there's fear of losing control completely, fear of everything being out of control. And that can feel very scary, especially if you've been trying to control your life most of your life. Then really seeing that nothing can be controlled, that life is actually a wild journey, a wild roller coaster. And all we can, in a way, do is live it, feel it, go with it, ride the waves of it, meet it for what it is. Not expecting it to be any different, and yet always being curious about these patterns, feeling the pain of this limiting, controlling mechanism. Because it can feel very painful when we are actually suppressing life. We're holding back from life. Feeling that, meeting that. And knowing that who you really are is never limited by any of these patterns. That you are life itself, wild and free, always.